Season of Discovery is out. I am out. Sigh, touching grass. Because fuck knows, I'm about to spend several days trapped in my house playing a game that came out in 2004. Let me tell you something. I'm just like every other WoW player. I'm not opposed to shitting on Blizzard, but when they make something good for once, I'm also not opposed to giving them credit.
Love yourself now!
And Season of Discovery does deserve some praise because so far it's been fantastic. But before we talk about the game, we first need to talk about the launch. Riz, I'm sorry, your names are gone.
Really?
That name is unavailable, yeah. Wait a minute. Okay, no, yeah, all of your names are gone.
Fuck!
I'm not kidding. I'm not. Mine's not, so get fucked. I'm logging in. I'm speeding ahead of the competition. Oh my god, there's so many. Wait, oh, don't worry, you're not missing anything. Guys?
Mordots, get banned, speed run, go.
There's no NPCs. Oh, there he is,
No, that's not part of Season of Discovery. You gotta find them.
Oh my god, your fucking stream. Oh my god.
So, as you can see, as far as classic WoW server launches go, this one was pretty standard. Nobody could kill anything, and 40 minutes after the servers went up, they went straight back down. Oh, there it is! I tapped out for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Hey, there it is!
Close to the sun.
There it is!
Oh, it was a good run. It was a good run.
It was a good run. It was a very good run. Well, I'll see you all in the next season. Fortunately, the servers weren't down for very long, and when they came back online, everything started to run smoothly. Including me, because I had a plan. Oh wait, I should run. I should leave. I need to go to Gurabashi Arena. While I make my way to the arena, let me give you a brief rundown of it in case you're not familiar. In Gurabashi Arena, there's a goblin who loves to see some good old-fashioned violence. Because every 3 hours, he walks down into the arena and places down a chest that anyone can take. Inside this chest are numerous items, but specifically there's the Arena Master Trinket. Now, the observant among us may notice that you can't actually use this trinket in the first phase of the season anyway. However, if you manage to get fucking 12 of them, you can turn all of them in and get the Arena Grandmaster Trinket, which is usable. And because there aren't a lot of trinkets available in this level bracket, anyone trying to min-max is going to try and get it, which is why I'm trying to get it right now. And that's because my plan for Season of Discovery is to be a try-hard, sweaty, degenerate bastard. I'm going to be at the top of every DPS meter, I'm going to have every piece of best-in-slot gear, I'm going to have the highest rank in PvP, and I'm going to be the greatest player on the server. And all of it starts right here with the first Gurabashi Arena chest. Level 2 from discovering Gurabashi Arena. As I made my way into the arena itself, I learned that I wasn't the only person to have this idea. And then all of my dreams got crushed because we found out that the chest wasn't going to spawn anyway. Blizzard, the genius chromosome gigabrains, actually fought ahead for once and disabled it. And to be perfectly honest with you, learning that I wasn't going to have to come over to this arena every 3 hours for potentially weeks on end until I finally got a single good item, that was kind of a relief, to be honest. I mean, what the hell is this, Blizzard? No changes? Where's my trinket? Where's my power? Where's my ability to flaunt over other players that I've spent 18 hours a day playing the game, so that makes me better at it than them? Come on! Anyway, since the chest was definitely not spawning, we decided to go and fight to the death just for the sake of it. Oh, he's casting. No!
Oh, he got the drop.
He got the drop on me, but it's okay because I'm gonna get crit right now. Let's go!
Yes! Someone's gonna jump in and kill you right now, though. Knew they would. I knew they would.
Despite not getting a trinket from the arena, it was still a fun trip, and now it was time to go back to the actual fucking game. Now, I could spend a bunch of time talking about the new rune system, you know, the main driving thing behind this whole season, but really, anything I could talk about boils down to runes good, 10 out of 10, keep it up. The one thing I will say is that the way you get the rogue runes by sneaking around and pickpocketing is fantastic and completely on theme for the class. There was one rune in particular which was especially actually interesting to go and get, but I'm going to talk about that one a little bit later. Because for now, it's time to talk about the main event, the race to level 25. A few hours after the servers went live, a good friend and guildmate of mine offered me this challenge, a 5 gold bet on whichever one of us would make it to level 25 first. And if there's one thing you need to know about me, it's that I can't turn down a wager. I love myself a bet, a little bit of gambling, you might say.
I unironically think gambling is good.
However, I was hesitant to accept his offer, and to understand why, I'm gonna have to talk about Jom himself. This man is a legend, a hero, and the champion of all BM hunters. He's always at the top of the meters. He's nice to everybody, and he's never made a mistake in his entire life. And because of how balanced hunters were at the start of the season, it's fair to say that he was a little bit powerful. Everybody loves him. We named the Season of Discovery guild after him. Also, he does this thing where he adds his name into different logos and brands, and I love all of these edits so much that I just had to include them in this video. He's amazing, he's a guardian angel, and all around, he's just a great guy. And then there's me. I'm a bit of a scoundrel, a menace, a piece of shit, if you will. On top of this, I'm also not very good at the game. I also decided to play a rogue, a class which is typically a little bit slower at leveling than a hunter. Not to mention the fact that compared to Jom, my reputation is not as good. And the icing on the cake here is that when he offered me the challenge, he was already at a higher level. And so, keeping all of this in mind, I decided to lie to you, the YouTube audience. Because I didn't hesitate for 1 second. You think I'm scared? You think I'm a bitch? Jom might be playing a faster leveling class than me, and he also might be better at the game than me, but there are 2 things he has which I don't have, which means that I still have a chance to win. Jom has a life and a job outside of this video game. 2 shackles of reality which do not bind me. He has the advantage of skill, and I have the advantage of time. It's the battle of good versus evil, and you're watching it from the perspective of the villain, and also the underdog, because despite everything, I still have a huge disadvantage here. But I'm going to try my best anyway. All of that said, I still didn't take the leveling as seriously or efficiently as I could have done. It was still Season of Discovery after all, and I wanted to discover some dopamine. Look at this shit. I got all 5 of my Planestrider kidneys before I saw a single beak. I exist in this universe purely to counteract the luck that Dream has. Also saw some pretty funny bugs that I've never encountered before. Did you guys know that as of Season of Discovery, the Centaur can dive underwater? Got to level 15 while waiting for a Zeppelin, and for some reason my brain went, hey, go do Warsong Gulch. This was not the smartest decision I've ever made, but at least I got some B-roll out of it. Then I went and ran Ragefire Chasm with Jom, and I suppose he'll then also tagged along. The nice thing about running dungeons in this mode is that it's not hardcore, so I'm not there sweating over every tiny mistake. The obvious trade-off there is that because it's not hardcore, you're going to see a lot more mistakes. Naturally, both Jom and myself survived this pull, because we're built different. Also, at this point in time, Jom was only 1 level ahead of me, which gave me a lot of confidence in thinking that I could win the race. Oh, and if you've never played on a role-playing server before, I highly recommend that you give it a go. This Tauren outside Ragefire Chasm would not stop fucking crying, and none of us knew what to do to calm him down. I tried trading him a knife so that he could, you know, resolve his problems permanently, but even the prospect of sweet release could not save this man. So I did what anyone in a crisis situation would do. I sat down and started crying right next to him. If you can't beat them, join them. And I think that's what he needed, because he almost immediately got up and said that he was feeling better. Turns out he had just, and I quote, ripped his foreskin, and then he just fucked off. Anyway, moving on. I was still leveling somewhat efficiently, but I did take pauses to do things like my professions. Check out my premium brand, Gucci goggles. I continued to level pretty much uninterrupted until I got to 19 when I checked in on Jom's progress. He was still 1 level ahead of me at this point, which did make me a little bit nervous. But it's okay, I got to level 20 very soon afterwards. I don't have footage of it. I forgot to record it. I'm a fucking idiot. Moving on! Now, this is the part where things start to get a little bit fucky-wucky. So after I hit level 20, I got this letter in the mail from someone called C, who I will henceforth be referring to as cunt. And it goes like this. Greetings, Mordots. I've been observing your handiwork for some time now. I must say, I'm impressed. You're clearly no mere street urchin? What the fuck? There's a job I'd like you to do for me. The retrieval of a certain treasure. I assure you, The pay is lucrative. If you're interested, I've left a dead drop in a cabin beside Pyrite Village. You'll find more information within. Regards, Cunt. Getting this letter piqued my interest and made me think that I should probably put it at the top of my priority list. So naturally, I forgot about it and went to Wailing Caverns. I mean, I am still in the middle of a leveling race. There's not a lot to talk about with this particular dungeon run though. We had this one pull where everyone other than Jom and myself died again. I'm just saying, it's a running trend. I also actually won a chest in a dungeon for once. If you know, you know. The leggings of the Fang didn't drop. This game is completely fucking unplayable. Right at the end of the dungeon, both of our guys who could resurrect people got killed. So we had to wait for them to run all of the way back before we could continue. Jom got the Venom Strike bow and I didn't even get close to completing all of my quests, but not a lot of people do on their first run of this place. In fact, even as I'm recording this audio weeks later, I still just have the Deviant hides sat in my bag. I have no reason to go and turn them in. I did get up to some other antics, but for now, I think it's time to go back and talk about this letter and the absolute crusade that it sent me on. Okay, here we go. Step 1. Find the dead drop zone in a house near Pyrite Village. You may notice that I'm already struggling to find the dead drop zone, but in my defense, they did put it right on the side of the main road, and I don't know how I was ever meant to see that. Once I was inside the cabin, I found that Cunt had sent me a follow-up letter. My mission was to go into Shadowfang Keep on my own and get an item named the Horn of Zelphos. However, little problem, there's this giant fucking locked door right at the start of the dungeon, which normally you have to kill the first boss in order to open. But it's okay. My man Cunt has an answer. He's got a contact in Stone Talon Mountains who can get me past the door. Okay, so all I have to do is go to Stone Talon Mountains and find Phoenix. Step 2. Go to Stone Talon Mountains and find Phoenix. It's worth mentioning that as I was on my way over to Stone Talon, I noticed that Jom had hit level 23 and I was still stuck at level 21. I began searching the zone high and low, but I couldn't find Phoenix anywhere. But it is just one zone in the game. How long could it possibly take to search the entire thing? Well, I started just after 1 in the morning and it was now 3 in the morning and I felt like I was no closer. And one of the reasons why this was taking so long was actually because of a tip I got in general chat. Some guy told me that Phoenix was pretty much in the exact middle of the zone. And even though this was the simplest thing in the world, I still fucked around with it for hours because I am fucking brain dead. You see, from my perspective, the middle of the zone means somewhere along this bit of road. So I spent literally hours just walking up and down this area, which, spoiler alert, Phoenix was not in. I spent so long doing this that Jom actually stopped leveling just to come and watch me search. Oh yeah, and while I was doing this, he went and hit level 24, so my odds of winning this race became slightly lower. He also traded me this dagger, and you know, what goes around comes around. Anyway, to cut a long story short, another hour went by and finally I found this goblin.
Yo.
And I just fucking know that there's someone out there right now saying, why didn't you just Google it? Why didn't you just use google.com? No. Bad. Not in keeping with the season. I wanted to discover this for myself and give myself a brain hemorrhage in the process, apparently. But hey, I found Phoenix. That means I can go and get that door open, right? Haha, haha. Turns out, this motherfucker needs a Venture Co. work order.
Glad I could help.
Step 3. Get Phoenix a Venture Company work order. Fortunately, all you have to do for this part is pickpocket some nearby goblins. You may notice that I'm killing these goblins and not pickpocketing them, because at first, I didn't understand what the fuck I was doing. Also, this rogue I was with Sword completely ate shit at one point and ran straight off the rafters. I ended up fucking about on the scaffolding for over 20 minutes, but eventually I did get a work order and returned to Phoenix. For my efforts, he gives me a goblin lockpick, which, as you might imagine, is several sticks of dynamite strapped together. This feels like a good time to mention that I am an engineer and probably could have figured out how to make this on my own. Anyway, doesn't matter, I've got the lockpicks, now I have to go back to Shadowfang Keep. Step 4. Sneak into Shadowfang Keep and steal the Horn of Zelphos. Since I was on a stealth mission, I discreetly, quietly made my way up to the door and blew it wide open with an explosion. I started looking around, but in my mind there was only one place that this horn could possibly be. Fenris's room has a whole bunch of bookshelves with random shit on them, and it's also where you find an item for a quest. So I tried making my way there, which, by the way, I failed several times. So after another 15 minutes and 4 failed attempts, I figured fuck this, I'm gonna go and respec so that I can stealth better. Once I got back to Shadowfang Keep, I was very relieved to see that the door was still open. Unsurprisingly, this time around I made it much further into the keep than I previously had. However, this still wasn't far enough, and at this point I had to make a crucial choice. You see, it was now 5:30 in the morning, and I started doing this entire thing at 1 in the morning. In those 4.5 hours, I gained a grand total of 6 bars of experience. And in case you've forgotten, I'm still kind of in, a leveling race against Jom, who is currently 3 levels higher than me. And you might be wondering why I'm even talking about the leveling race anymore at all. Jom is so far ahead, he's 1 level away from Cap, there's no chance that I can catch up to him. Right? Well, remember how I said Jom has a life and a job earlier in the video? Turns out that job is kind of coming into play right now. He wasn't sure if he was going to be able to log on tomorrow and play the game at all, and if that was the case, I could definitely still win this leveling race. But if he was able to log on, I would almost certainly lose the race. Unless I stayed up for the rest of the night and power leveled as hard as I could. So here was my choice. Either stay up all night, make myself feel like shit and guarantee that I won the race, or get a healthy night's rest, wake up tomorrow and gamble on still winning the race if Jom wasn't able to log in. But wouldn't a true sweaty degenerate bastard just disregard things like sleeping well in order to play the game more? Would I be betraying who I am as a person if I did that? Yes. Yes, I would. But you know what? That's exactly what I did. I turned the game off, got into bed, and thought to myself, tomorrow, may the best man win. Okay, maybe I overslept a little bit, and maybe even after I woke up, I took a really hot shower before logging on, but, the funny part is, I didn't even immediately start leveling once I logged in. The first thing I went and did was my poison quest. The second thing I went and did was murder a guy. The third thing I did was kill both of these guys before telling them to go to retail. And the fifth thing was finally getting to level 22 by discovering Zoram Strand. Oh, sorry, I skipped number 4. I killed another guy. And while all of this was happening, I was messaging Jom on Discord. I was telling him that I thought I could get to level 25 by about 9 PM, which at the time was just over 5 hours away. Then this motherfucker hit me with the words that I always love to hear. Side bet. This time the bet was simply on whether or not I would actually get to the max level by 9. But surprisingly, even to myself, I actually had to turn this bet down. I was already definitely going to lose the leveling race, and I wasn't exactly wealthy.
You're a broke boy, just say so.
So ultimately, I had to tell Jom that this was one bet I didn't want to do. And if you believed me when I said that, then you haven't been paying any fucking attention. Once again, I accepted his offer without hesitation. The side bet, the leveling race, I want all of it. I want the money baby, the money. 10 gold? Do you have any idea how many items I can buy in the BFB GDKP if I have that kind of dough? None. 0 items. There was a guy trying to join one of these 1 week after the servers went live with a 600 gold budget. If only this multi-dollar company had a way to stop the botting problem, maybe we wouldn't be dealing with this shit. But I digress. It was time to grind until 9 PM, or until my fingers fell off, whichever came first.
Let's fucking go!
I was grinding away, making decent progress, but then I saw that Jom had come online. And seeing this freaked me out so badly that I fucked up and got myself killed. Jom is just way too powerful. All he had to do to fuck me up was load the game. And speaking of fuck ups, at this point I was so focused on leveling that I didn't even record most of it. I hit level 23 and then had to turn on the recording software afterwards. But fortunately I have the power of movie magic, so I can just make it look like I leveled up on screen anyway. Seamless. One saving grace of my mad dash to 25 was the fact that I hadn't actually done Shadowfang Keep yet. Well, not in the intended way. I also got lucky because I wasn't just the only lever user in the group, but also everyone I was with was absolutely stacked and blasting through this place in record time. Until we got to Aragal, where 2 people died, 2 people ran out of the instance to reset the boss, and I vanished and stood in the corner doing nothing. Once the others got back, we executed the fight properly, and unsurprisingly, nobody got killed. For the most part, the final hours of this leveling race had been going really well for me. It was now 7 PM and I was nearly at level 24, which meant that getting to 25 by 9 PM was very doable. But while I was doing this, there was something weighing on me mentally, something that I just couldn't get out of my head. John made it to level 24 back when I was still searching for Phoenix, and yet despite being logged in for multiple hours today, he was still at the same level. Even if he had been leveling as inefficiently as possible, he still easily would have made it to the max level by now, which meant that there was only one possible explanation. John was taunting me. Mocking me. He was probably stood right by an NPC where he could hand in the final quest he needed in order to win the race. Meanwhile, I was scratching and scraping at the dirt, desperately trying to find any XP that I could to catch up with him. But John was taking a big risk by doing this, because once I reached level 24 myself, which, by the way, I also forgot to record, he wouldn't know when I was going to make it to 25 and potentially ruin his entire plan. There was no doubt in my mind, any second now he might hand in his quests and the whole thing would be over, but that didn't stop me. I couldn't give up. I had to keep going. I handed in all of my quests at Camp Tarajo, and at that point I was over halfway there. Then I immediately grabbed the flight over to Thunderbluff, where I had even more quests to hand in. I kept checking the guild tab every few seconds just to see if I'd lost the race, but there he was. 24. I still had a chance. I could still fucking win. And I thought to myself, you know what? If he's waiting to hand in one final quest, then I'm gonna make him sweat. I'm gonna call his bluff. I taunted him in the guild chat. I wasn't here to fuck around. His hubris had amassed a debt he could not pay. I would be victorious! Then I checked the guild tab again and I saw that John had hit level 25. Well, fuck. So, turns out, unsurprisingly, John had in fact been fucking with me for this entire final day. And the thing that sealed my fate was actually me flying into Thunderbluff. John was monitoring me via the guild tab, and when he saw me move into Mulgore, he thought that I was going to go and hand in a bunch of quests and potentially hit level 25. But if we're being entirely honest, that's not the reason why I lost this race. I made the conscious decision to prioritize sleeping and showering instead of playing World of Warcraft. Two of the greatest enemies to any true MMO player. Those 8 hours of sleep I got were not worth it. Really, the moral of the story is, don't take care of yourself. You don't need to sleep, and you don't need to shower. All you need is to be good at video games. The story's not quite finished though, because I still had to get to level 25 by 9 PM in order to win the side bet. At this point though, I'm not going to act like it was a difficult task. I had plenty of time, so I kind of just slowed down and enjoyed the last bit of the leveling process. Although I did try and kill Sharp Talon with this level 23 warrior. And I'm sure you're thinking, there's no way, right? This thing is level 31, surely you got fucked. But we kited it and we swapped having aggro at the right times and we killed it. What can I say? We're built different. Shout out to my boy Cfuse here. And with that, my leveling experience came to an end. Ultimately, both of the bets that John and I made cancelled each other out. I did go on some other adventures with him, but the video's getting kinda long, so I'm gonna go ahead and skip those for now. However, before I end this video, there is one final loose thread that I have to tie up, and it involves a certain cunt. I went back to Shadowfang Keep to finally wrap up this stealth operation. I also had to go and get an entirely new explosive just to get the door open again. And by the way, later I found out you don't even need this explosive at all. You can just stealth to the NPC, talk to him, vanish, and then get the door open that way. You're telling me that I never even needed to find this guy in the first place? Fuck it, we're here now anyway. On to the Fenris room. Now that I was a higher level, stealthing through Shadowfang Keep was a trivial task. I made my way up the final spiral stairway and thought to myself, finally, this ordeal was going to come to an end. I made my way into the room, had a look around, and realised I'd completely cucked myself. So, fun fact, the item wasn't in there, so back into the keep I go to find wherever the hell it actually is stored. After what I thought was quite a thorough search of pretty much the entire dungeon, suddenly I had a realisation, and with it came the rage of 1,000 burning suns. I went into the very last place I would think to look, the stables. And oh look, it's a treasured artifact being kept in a box right next to the fucking horses. Who did it, huh? Was it you? Was it you? Ah yes, I will leave this special item in a locked box next to my beasts of burden. Fuck you. The box requires a key, and to get it you have to pickpocket 2 different NPCs inside the dungeon and put their halves of the key together. And finally, after all of this time, I managed to open the box and get the Horn of Zelphos. I stealthed back out of the dungeon and left the horn at the dead drop zone. This entire thing started with a letter in the mail, so I assumed it was going to end in the exact same way. Cunt would send me whatever reward I was even getting for doing this in the mail, and finally the whole thing would be done. Or not! This bastard sent me another letter telling me that his gift for me was left in the dead drop zone. I just halved to Orgrimmar. Why the fuck? What was the point in this? So at 4 in the morning, I went all of the way back to Pyrewood Village, entered the dead drop zone, and at long last, I received Deadly Brew. And you know what? Despite everything I've been saying about this entire questline, it was one of the best experiences I've ever had in this game. The entire thing was perfect class fantasy, and I really hope that Blizzard do more stuff like this for Season of Discovery going forward. But also, fuck this quest, man. Holy shit. Anyway, in conclusion, I think Season of Discovery good, 10 out of 10, keep it up. Now, before I go, 2 quick things. First of all, Jom and friends. If you want, you can come and be friends with us. We're on Crusader Strike EU. And if you're a rude, obnoxious bastard, I'll just kick you out. Second thing, due to the aforementioned guild name and player, we need the name Jom. We don't have it. We don't know who has it. Jom needs it. We're gonna take it by force. This is a threat. If anyone out there has the name, we're coming for you. We're going to come to your house, all of us, and we're gonna need the name back. So just give it over, hand it over, and no one has to get hurt, okay? Okay. I've already got some more Season of Discovery content planned out, so stay tuned for that. Thank you to everyone who watched the end of the Hardcore series. It was really fun to make. Happy holidays to everybody celebrating. Thanks for watching the fucking video, and I'll see you next time.
Who the fuck goes day 1 and calls themselves Elon Musk?